Hi everyone, it's Magical Mom Laura, and we recently sailed on the Odyssey of the Seas Royal Caribbean ship that was built in 2020. We were on it New Year's Eve 2024. It sailed out of New York on a week cruise. There were a lot of sea days. We stopped at Port Canaveral, Coco Key, and Nassau. So let's go over the pros and cons of this cruise. I found this ship to be very unique and different compared to other cruise ships. It has a lot of surreal, abstract, even some Baroque art throughout the ship, and it's also carried through in the design of the ship with a touch of whimsy. And they carry it through even in the entertainment with the book. I will touch on all these things through the pros and cons, but I did find this to be a very unique cruise ship in that way. I found the outside of the ship to be pretty ugly. It just kind of looked like a hotel, like a floating hotel, and not much to it. But I think they did that so they could create these unique spaces inside. Let's jump into the pros. So, we went on the Independence of the Seas, which is an older Royal Caribbean ship, and I will link below that pros and cons video if you want to check it out. But we did not have a good experience on that. And there were three big cons where I was like, nope, not going to do Royal Caribbean again. And those were the kids' club, the food on board was not good, and the bed was awful, and also child safety as well. We sailed on Independence of the Seas 4 months earlier in August of 2024, and I had already booked Odyssey for New Year's Eve. And Royal Caribbean's a little bit different from Disney Cruise Line, where you can't really cancel without losing a portion of your deposit. I was a little nervous coming on the ship if we would have the same issue, but luckily all three of these turned into pros. So number one is the Kids Club. I will be comparing a lot to Disney since we do cruise a lot on Disney, but this Kids Club was a lot more fun, inviting. It had a lot more for the kids to do, and she really enjoyed it. It wasn't like Disney where it was hard to get her to leave or she was excited to go, but she didn't hate going. Where on Independence of the Seas, she really did not enjoy going to the kids club. Number two, the beds. This is Independence of the Seas, and it was awful. It was like cardboard. And again, wasn't as good as Disney cruise beds, which are just amazing. But the Odyssey of the Seas bed and even the couch for the kids was a huge improvement over the older ships. Number three, the food. I don't think I spoke about this in my vlogs, but before you go on Royal, if you book like a specialty dining package, you can't pre-book times and everything. I think you can book it when you board the ship. But if you book them individually, then you can pick the times. I think we went to almost every specialty restaurant except for Izumi, and we just did the main dining room one night. So I think the food was a huge improvement because we did choose to pay extra and do the specialty dining. But even Sorrento pizza actually was a whole lot better than Independence of the Seas. The crust was better. On Independence of the Seas, we did do one specialty restaurant and it was not good. El Loco Fresh, Mexican food right there next to the pool deck. Such a great idea, and the food was so good. One of our favorite spots was the wine bar there at Giovanni's, and they had little bites to eat you could get at the bar for a small extra price, and they even brought us out delicious cheeses if we went and got wine there. As a vegetarian, I thought overall the food was so much better on the newer ship Odyssey of the Seas. The buffet, the Windjammer, was so much better. All the food quality was delicious. One of my favorite things I get in the morning is yogurt and triangle hash browns. They were awful on Independence and they were really good on Odyssey. As a vegetarian, I thought I would share with you some of my favorites. These hot garlic knots from Giovanni's were delicious. The goat cheese salad from Chops, amazing. Giovanni's again, the burrata salad was fantastic. The tiramisu at Giovanni's was one of my favorite. I'm a bit of a tiramisu connoisseur. One of my favorite tiramisus I've ever had. In the Windjammer, they often had a full spread of Indian food in the vegetarian section, and I had that a lot for lunches and maybe some pre dinner snacks. And it actually inspired me to cook more Indian food when I got home. But that was a nice surprise. And pretty much the whole meal at teppanyaki was delicious. The ice cream was so much creamier on Odyssey. On Independence, it was pretty icy. So that was a huge improvement. One of the big disappointments, I think, was Wonderland. While it was a cool concept and heavily themed and really cool, I don't think the execution was completely there. They could have done a better job. But my husband's not a vegetarian, so I will let him tell you his thoughts on the food.
Wonderland was a little bit off for me. The food was good, the ingredients were high quality, but the presentation was just strange. And there was something about each dish that just didn't quite work. The menu was also a little bit weird. It was tough to read, it was a paintbrush thing. They were just trying too many things, and it just didn't work out in the end. So, my overall take on dining on this ship was that it was a much better experience on the newer ship compared to our last Royal Caribbean cruise. A Loco Fresh was great to have on deck. We had a lot of fun in there. We ate it a couple different times, different parts of the day, and always enjoyed it. Giovanni's a wine bar. We spent a lot of time there. We ate there. It was a good place to grab a cocktail in between things or a glass of wine. Definitely would want to stop there again if you're on this ship. By and large, we didn't eat in the main dining very often. We only ate there one time, and I upgraded and had a steak and lobster. It was pretty good. I don't think Laura liked hers very much, but we didn't really spend a lot of time there, so not much to review. I did really enjoy teppanyaki. That was a fun dinner. Landon had a good time. The food was good. It was a good social experience with other people on the cruise with us. And Chops on New Year's Eve was really good. I enjoyed my meal. The wine selection was good. It was fairly reasonably priced also, so we had a couple of nice bottles of wine and just a great way to start off New Year's Eve.
Number 4, child safety. I was so relieved to see a child lock on the veranda door on Odyssey. When we were on Independence of the Seas, there was no child lock at all on the slider door. On all of the Disney cruise ships, they have the child lock on the door. So I always feel very safe getting a veranda room. And then on Independence of the Seas, the upper railway was basically a ladder for children. So to see the glass up at the top deck on Odyssey for the safety of the children, I was really happy to see that. Number 5, the service. The entire service team on Odyssey of the Seas was fantastic. Sometimes on ships, you'll have great experience and then okay experience. But I think all three of us felt across the board, everyone was great. Elvis and Teppanyaki really stood out. The service we had at Giovanni's was fantastic. The bartenders, we actually went and cheers them on New Year's Eve. We spent a lot of time at Giovanni's bar to get like a pre-drink before dinner, and we just really loved the service, and everyone there just did a great job. Number 6, the coffee, which is very important to me. They have Lavazza coffee in the Windjammer, and it was so good, and I actually preferred it over Starbucks. And we got the drink package. So Starbucks in the Windjammer was included with our drink package as well. So we could either get that or the Windjammer coffee, and it was really good coffee, especially for a cruise ship. Number 7, activities. There were so many activities, I think, that were really great for older kids, and there were a lot of older kids on the ship. There was the Seaplex area with basketball, bumper cars, a bunch of different activities. I think I even saw pickleball, the flow rider, rock climbing, skydiving, which was Ripcord by iFly, and the North Star, which was always booked up on sea days. I did not want to do North Star, but my husband and daughter really wanted to, and we could not get an opening on sea days, but we could in port days, but we were busy doing things. Number 8, The Room. This was a 7-night cruise, and I was a little bit worried trying to get all of our things for 3 people. It looked very tiny, but there was a lot of storage and everything fit like just perfectly. And I'm a little bit of an overpacker, I would say. So I was so happy with the room and the storage and the layout. I was so happy that the bathroom had a shower ledge for shaving. It had a glass door. It was very small, but it was, again, very well designed. It had a night light at night. So if you need to get up in the middle of the night, then there's a light for you. And we got an extended balcony. So we had this huge, beautiful balcony and really enjoyed it. Number 9, the overall design of the ship. I loved the nautical design in the hallways. The rich, deep navy blue with dark wood tones was really beautiful. There was elegant art pieces like in the hallway and the beautiful chandelier over the main dining room. The main dining room was very elegant and pretty. It was a touch of nautical and it had turquoise and coral, which I love those two colors together, and this gorgeous chandelier that came down. There was art throughout, a lot of whimsy in the art. We loved this huge, playful cat on the upper deck outside the Seaplex. Lots of photography as well, which I really enjoyed when you're out and about on the ship. And the top deck was a beautiful, fun Caribbean top deck. So, really beautiful design of the ship. Number 10, 270 Lounge. This was a really cool space. I guess it had 270-degree views off of the back of the ship. It was all glass. We spent a good amount of time in here. They had this beautiful bar in there. One night they had a virtual orchestra that was playing. On New Year's Eve, they had a New Year's Eve show with the captain. My daughter danced. Very memorable night. The best night with a live band. It's also where the show The Book was done, and it was very comfortable to sit there. We sat on a couch actually while we watched this show. So, a really cool space and unlike any I've seen on a cruise ship. Speaking of the book, number 11, The Shows. We missed one show. It's the one with the drones. I'm kind of bummed we missed it. We saw Showgirls, very talented, beautiful visuals, and then the book, such a cool concept, very interesting and visually beautiful, very unique. It had robotic video screens up that went along with the show. So, very unique. I like how they tried something different. Number 12, the solarium. I wish we were able to spend more time there. It was adult only, so we would usually spend the day with our daughter and put her in the kids club at night. On our last sea day, we actually were so excited. We put her in the kids club during the day with some negotiation so we could enjoy the solarium because it was 30 degrees outside, I think. And we could not find a seat anywhere. We walked around the entire place. We were really bummed out about that. For a cold cruise, though, the solarium is a nice addition to have for options on sea days. Number 13, the last pro on my list, is the captain, Captain Merrick. He even has a Facebook page. You should see his profile pic. It's very Hollywood. And it is Hollywood because he used to be in a band. So he sang Mustang Sally at the New Year's Eve show. He's very handsome. He is very charismatic. And when we were on Cocoa Key, we got the Cocoa Beach Club. And he was actually right next to us. And he went out, I don't know if it was his wife or girlfriend, and they were out on the sandbar, like dancing arm in arm. It was really cool. So a really cool captain. If he's still on the Odyssey, make sure to like get, there was a long line to meet him and get pictures. So I would recommend that. He's a cool captain. Let's get into the cons of Odyssey of the Seas. Number 1, the outdoor design. I love the nautical looks of the Disney cruise ships, and I thought the outdoor design was just ugly. It looked kind of boxy and like a hotel almost. And I think this was a case of form over function to get everything inside that they want to put in, like a puzzle. It kind of looks like a straight up and down hotel sort of thing. So I did not care for the design of the outside of the ship. Also, I was not a big fan of the font and the spacing of Odyssey of the Seas on the outside of the ship. Something small. I can't put my finger on it either. I just didn't care for it. Number two, young kids. Well, they're not the con, but I don't think this ship is great for young kids. Splashaway Bay was very small and it was pretty big on Independence of the Seas. They had hot tubs right there. You could sit in the hot tub, keep an eye on your kid, and splash away bay. The main pool was nice, the one with the TV, but the North Star was over it. So much of the pool was in shade, which maybe if you're doing a Miami sailing, Southern Caribbean, this isn't a problem. This was out of New York on New Year's Eve, a very cold cruise. The pools were not the warmest, so what ended up happening is a lot of the kids would and adults would go into the hot tubs. Luckily, there were a lot of hot tubs, but the hot tubs around the pools were elevated. So if you're on the pool deck, you can't keep an eye on your kid. It's not that I don't trust her. It could be other weird kids, mean kids, older weird adults. So one thing that happened was she was in the hot tub. Like I would go in, check on her, and be like, "Sure you don't want to go in the pool?" It was just very annoying. It was hard to relax. I was like, "Where are your goggles?" She got out of the hot tub and she said the girl wanted them and I gave them to her. And it was like a 14-year-old girl and she was in the pool with my daughter's goggles and had taken them. So that was a little, I just couldn't relax as a parent on the pool with these elevated hot tubs. The Cplex was a really cool space, but the teenagers and tweens, again, this was a busy New Year's Eve holiday cruise with lots of kids, lots of teens and tweens. So that area was always packed, always swarming with adolescents. So it was a bit overwhelming to go in there. So we didn't spend a lot of time in there. But I think one or two times we kind of popped in because she loves arcade games. And a lot of the arcade games were not working, which was a bummer. And then this is, I think, every Royal Caribbean ship, but the kids club is closed from 5 to 7 p.m. On Disney, if it's a boring dinner where there's no show, sometimes we'll just let her eat like a quick service, take her to the kids club, and we can relax and eat dinner. But that's not an option on Royal Caribbean because of their kids club closure. And the bathroom in their kids club was very confusing. I wasn't in there very much, but I showed my daughter how to use it in the open house, and a lot of the kids did get stuck. Number three in the room, while the bed was a lot better than Independence of the Seas, there is still room for improvement. It wasn't the best bed. Pillows sucked. They were huge, large, lumpy pillows. They hurt my neck. I did not care for the pillows. And then this is, I think, on every Royal Caribbean, unless you do the suite level. No conditioner, no makeup mirror, and then a limited amount of free movies of entertainment, which again, you're on a cold winter New Year's Eve cruise. It would be kind of nice to have some movies in the room to chill in. Number four, restaurants. These are some of the things that stood out to me as cons. There was a lack of sea views. The main dining room had windows out to the sea. Teppanyaki, we were actually sailing out of Nassau during sunset and we had beautiful views of the sea. But other than that, none of the restaurants had sea views, which I think is a big miss. And I remember sitting in Wonderland and I was like, oh, there's a huge porthole. Like, why are the curtains closed? And I opened them and it was because the lifeboats were out there. I wish the ship had been designed to allow for more sea views as you are dining, especially at specialty restaurants. And one quick tip, make sure you book dinner at specialty restaurants during sunset if they do have a sea view. Azumi and Giovanni's, they had tables in the walkway. And we had the unfortunate experience of having a table right in the walkway of Giovanni's. And Giovanni's is right next to that beautiful, huge chandelier. The main dining room has a huge hole in the ceiling so you can look down, and it was a raucous main dining room waiter singing sort of night. And then when they let out the first main dining room, they were all next to our table, and it was not a great experience. The Windjammer to not have outdoor seating. Again, I don't know if this is a Royal Caribbean thing, Disney Cruise Line. Their buffet has outdoor seating, which is really nice. I remember being on a Mediterranean cruise, and as we pulled into these beautiful Italian ports, we grabbed a quick breakfast and were able to sit out there and watch. So I thought that was a big miss to not have some outdoor seating. And then there was one exception to this, but for the most part, the bread on this ship sucked. I love a nice, warm, fresh bread, and we did not have that. The garlic nuts, though, at Giovanni's were so good. Number 5, this is a small one, the Esplanade. We really enjoyed that on Independence of the Seas, and this one was very narrow, very small. It was like a choke point, and then they had so many things going on in the middle. I just felt it was overcrowded and not as grand as I would have liked to have seen it. And number 6, the boarding arch. I mean, I like that they make an effort. Maybe it was for New Year's Eve. I wish Royal just did something a little nicer for boarding. Again, sorry to compare it to Disney, but Disney announces you and claps, and it's just really nice. My daughter does a cute little countdown thing for Royal Caribbean. A couple things about this cruise specifically that stood out to me, being a New Year's Eve cruise out of New York City. It was so magical to be able to see the Statue of Liberty. I wish we had come up a day earlier and toured that. And then to sail under the Vernazza Bridge, you get really close. It's really cool. And we sat out on our balcony and just really enjoyed that. This was our second time doing Cocoa Beach Club. That's an upgraded for the three of us. It's like somewhere around $550. Such a nice experience. It makes that day so much more special. And part of me just wants to book a Royal Caribbean so we can go back to Cocoa Beach Club. They have a heated pool. So during New Year's, I think we were there New Year's Day. It was so nice. Last New Year's Eve, we did it on the Disney Wish and had a really good time. But I actually think I enjoyed our night more on Royal Caribbean. I don't know why. It was actually my daughter's 6 and it was her first time staying up till midnight. We would do like a fake midnight celebration with her at like 8 or something growing up. So I think the three of us just celebrating together was special. And the balloon drop was really cool. The concert in 270 and my daughter dancing, like it was just a very memorable, special night. I would say Odyssey of the Seas is a newer ship, and sailing out of New York City, especially in the winter, you have a lot of cold sea days, and there are some rough seas that we hit with big waves. So I was thankful to be on a newer ship with these bigger waves and grateful that the food was better than Independence of the Seas, so we could be lazy and relax on our huge overextended balcony. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed my review of Odyssey of the Seas. You can check out Independence of the Seas, and I also have pros and cons of the Disney ships. So I will see you on the next one. Bye.
Thanks for watching, like, and subscribe.